I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to deal with things not happening in the exact way that you thought that they were going to happen. Because the truth is that as you're going throughout your day, you're going to have a plan sometimes to do certain things. And sometimes that plan is not going to happen exactly how you thought it was going to happen. Like you thought that there's going to be this exact sequence of events and like this is how it's going to happen. Here's how it's going to be. And like, of course, it doesn't happen. And let me ask you a question. How many times, I know it sounds weird to say it in like this way, but how many times in your life did the plan go exactly perfectly how you thought it was going to happen perfectly to the T? Like exactly, perfectly, exactly how you visualized it. And it's like you might be like, well, Francis, always. But on the way to the end goal, there was probably a lot of challenges. How many times was there just perfectly smooth, no challenges, exactly from A to B, and it was just perfect? For me, it was never the case. You know, maybe I get to the end goal no matter what. At some point, you know that you can get to the end goal if you're committed to creating what it is that you want. Like, if you know what you want, you're going to be able to get the end goal in your life at some point. So that's not the question here. The question is, how does it happen exactly? And is it going to happen in the way that you imagined it perfectly on the way to that goal? Probably not. You know, the journey to the goal is probably going to be a little bit different than you thought. So the solution is to have proper expectations that on the way to the goal, it's not maybe going to be exactly how you thought it was going to be. The first thing that I want to share with you in this video is to remember that in life, I believe that anything that happens in your life can be taken as a sign for anything. So what does this really mean? Well, this means that when a difficult challenge happens in your life, or a negative situation happens in your life, or there's a problem that happens in your life, well, what do you do with that situation? Like, how do you handle that? The way that you handle that situation is that you see that you can reframe any challenge to your advantage. So there's going to be challenges that happen in your life. Can we both agree that no matter what, challenges are going to arise? There's going to be challenges, right? Problems are going to happen. Challenges are going to arise. Can we both agree on that? And now that we have that out of the way, can we both agree that reframing those challenges that are inevitably going to pop up on the way to the end goal, can we both agree that that's also going to be useful? So remember that when these inevitable challenges arise, I like to remember that any experience can be taken as a sign to mean anything that I want it to mean. So when that challenge comes up, it means whatever I want it to mean. Whatever I decide that situation to mean, that's how it's going to go. So if there's a negative challenge that pops up, to me, I can make it mean, well, this means that it's just a lesson for me to be better and then to improve more so that this challenge doesn't happen next time and never happens to me ever again. Or this is helping me learn, or this is helping me to grow. This is helping me to create a better end result, a better product, right? This is all happening for my benefit. There's a reason why this is happening. It's happening so that I can improve, right? When you start to have this type of mentality, well, the same situation can also be responded to as, well, this means that maybe I shouldn't continue. Maybe I should stop this right now. But remember, how you respond to a response, that is up to you at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, you know, even a funny way to think about it is you can respond to anything. That's like a response is your free will choice to do so in however way you want to do it. Like, you know, a situation can happen and maybe you might even notice a reaction pop up in your experience, right? You might notice a reaction in your body. But then if you become conscious of that reaction and doesn't unconsciously pull you, now you have more say and free will choice to then even respond to that reaction. Right? Because a reaction, if it happens unconsciously, maybe the emotion pulls you. Maybe it pulls you into some sort of state where you're no longer in control because there's no spatial awareness to then be in control. Right? But then if you're completely unconscious, that emotion pulls you, what happens is that now you're not in control anymore, and you can't really think for yourself anymore because the emotion has completely pulled you, and you're no longer anything. You're no longer an independent thinker anymore. You've now become the emotion. Either you're the awareness behind the emotion. So the second thing that I want to share with you in this video is just to remember that, although this might sound really cliche and very simple, but often in life, I do really believe that the most simple concepts are the most powerful concepts. Because in life it might seem simple, but it doesn't mean it's not powerful. So what I want to share with you is that consistency is absolutely going to be important when you're going through your day-to-day life as you're creating something, when you're dealing with situations that you didn't think were going to happen. And of course, I hope this video is helping you to remember that, dealing with situations that you didn't think were going to happen, it's probably better to expect that there's going to be problems that happen in your life that are just going to happen as you create a goal. Just expect that there's going to be problems. Have a proper expectation. I hope that this video is giving you a clear picture that there's going to be problems and challenges, and giving you realistic expectations to creating goals in your life. Because if you can remember from that perspective, when you can think of it from the perspective of there's going to be problems and there's going to be challenges, now when those problems and challenges comes up, you can be consistent with your day-to-day patterns even when that problem happens. So consistency is going to be the solution a lot of the times, even though it sounds simple and cliche. It's like, what do you mean consistency? Well, if you have a discipline to be a certain type of way in your life, I would invite and encourage you just to consistently do that again and day out. Because think about it like this. If you do something every single day and you don't stop and you absolutely commit to one thing every single day, can you fail? For me personally, I don't think it's really possible to fail at anything if you do it every single day consistently with no stopping. I'm not saying don't take a break like sometimes, and don't take a breather. I'm not saying to not take a breather and not to take your own space, and to not be so committed where you're losing yourself and your health is not in check. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, let me ask you, if you do it every single day, within reason, within taking breaks and all that type of stuff, but if you do it every single day nonetheless, and you commit to something every single day with no exceptions whatsoever other than to take a break for your health and all this type of stuff, are you going to fail? And it's like, I don't want to make it sound too extreme to the point where you're letting yourself go and you're not being, in a peaceful state of just neutral, just health, where you're just healthy. I'm not saying to not be healthy, but that sounds weird to say it like that. But it's like, what I'm saying is the key is to still be consistent. So when these inevitable problems pop up that we talked about, like when we talked about earlier, the key is to be consistent. To just be consistent every single day, no matter what. Do the same thing every single day. Whatever you want to be in your life, commit to it every single day, and I do believe you're going to be successful. I think you have to be successful if you commit to something every single day. If you stop doing something every single day, then it's going to be less probable chance that you're successful. But if you do it every single day and there's no exceptions to it, you're going to be successful. And again, when I say no exceptions, of course, again, take breaks. Don't be so committed to something that you're not taking a break anymore. But it's like, just do it every single day to the best of your abilities. And if it's too much and you're not doing enough, you're doing too much and you're overworking yourself, well then of course, take a break. Take a breather. It's important to take a break. It's important to take a breather. It's important to let go and to not be so committed all the time, and to not be so focused on it's important to not be so focused on the same thing all the time, right? Do something else. But then when you're ready, come back and do it again and commit to it every single day. And it's like, I know that's like maybe seem like a contradictory thing, but it's like, however you can get there, I just want, if you can't do it, that's up to you. But I just want to ask you the question. If you were to do it every single day, could you fail? And to me, the answer is no. So if the answer is no, then why not do something every single day until you become successful, until you create the thing that you want? Whatever you want to be in your life, it doesn't really matter. I would recommend that you do it every single day, consistently, have that consistency in your life, and you will win. It's so easy to win. I think 90% of success is just simply showing up for yourself every single day. Just showing up. You could have problems, again, challenges, which are inevitably going to happen, but just the fact that you showed up to that thing that's important to you, whatever it is that you want to create in your life, just showing up, just simply the fact that you showed up to begin with every single day is going to make you successful. In my experience and in my belief, it's just going to happen. You're going to be successful because doing something every single day with a committed, focused energy gives you powerful results. That's just what I think. And so the final thing that I want to share with you in this video is to remember that, although consistency is important, although consistency is something that, you do want to be doing every single day, what's also really important is to remember that what you want to do is to refine as needed, to not do the same thing every single day. And I know that sounds contradictory to, what I just said a moment ago, but the truth is that, structure is important, yes. You do need to have a powerful structure. You need to do the same thing every single day consistently, no matter what, and to have a powerful commitment and focus and to do everything in a structure. But sometimes, even though that is the case, it is the case, yes, other times the best thing that you can do is to refine that situation as necessary and to not do the same thing and to change the plan accordingly, to change the situation as you need to. Because sometimes doing the same thing every single day can drain you and have become a huge problem in your life, right? And so that's like, I know that sounds contradictory to what I just said a moment ago, but yes, that is the case. Sometimes life, I do find there's two sides to everything, right? Sometimes there's two things that can be true, and although both of those things can be true, they can both seem contradictory, but nonetheless, they're both still true. And then so the key to remember here is that, yes, you need to commit, but then also you need to refine when that situation calls for it, and then not to do the same thing every single day. And then so what that means is that, it means making quicker decisions when you need to make a quick decision because you're not able to follow through with the same plan that you decided at the beginning. The plan has to change. So you now need to make a fast choice, and that's what it means to be a powerful leader, is to make quick choices and to refine that situation and to not get stuck. Because you need to make a choice or you can get stuck, but in choosing to be stuck, although it may not seem like a choice if you fall into a state of feeling stuck, is nonetheless to me a choice to fall into that state, because you can also make a choice to be a quick thinker and to refine the situation and to just to move on and be better in that situation. Whatever that situation might call for, it just might require you to make a quick choice and just to do something else that maybe you've never done before. Maybe to be in the unknown a little bit more, because you have to be in the unknown. So remember that, for example, if you're committed to doing something every single day, maybe you do have to take a day off. And maybe you do have to stop doing that thing every single day. Maybe you need to just take a day off and then maybe take 2, 3 days, 4 or 5 days off. Maybe even longer, to rebuild yourself and to remember what you have to do, and so that you can come back stronger and then do something and then to do it then consistently again later. Because let's just say you're doing a habit every single day and you do it and it works, and then it's consistent and you're doing it every single day, and then at some point you do it and it works and it works and works, but then eventually it starts to drain you. It starts to drain you and it starts to feel like it's not helping you to be a better version of yourself anymore. It's starting to feel like it's taking a toll out of your system and your being to work on that thing in that way that you were doing it before. No, it doesn't feel the same way like as it did before. Now it's feeling like it's draining you and it doesn't feel good. So how do you handle that situation? Well, the way to handle that situation for me was to realize that course correction is important. Like if you're doing something consistently and then it stops working, well, then you need to find a better way to do it in maybe a different way, like in a different setting, or change the way how you're doing it, or change something about the structure slightly, or make an exception that maybe you wouldn't normally make. What happens if that you wake up one day and you have a plan? You decide on a plan for the day and you tell yourself that this is how it's going to go, this is going to be the day, here's how the plan is going to go, and what the situation is going to be. And then of course, surprise, surprise, something happens in the day where it doesn't align with the plan that you created for yourself. Well, how are you going to handle that situation, right? What are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to maybe refine your plan a little bit and change how the day is going to go. So maybe you had a list of 4 to 5 things that you were going to do in the day that you thought you were going to accomplish, but then instead of what you have to do now in this new situation, because of all these problems that are happening, is that you need to maybe change something about your plan and make an exception. It doesn't have to be exactly how you thought it was going to go. Something has to change. You need to remove something off the list, or do it in a different way at a different time, or maybe change the result of what you were doing slightly so that you can honor what's happening around you as well. Because it's like sometimes life just causes problems and it's not even your fault. It just happens, and how you handle that situation, how you respond to that situation is going to be up to you, and that's going to affect it's going to change the result that you have afterwards. Right? Afterwards, if you want to have a better result, after, then you're going to have to change the way that you see that situation in that moment, right then and there, right then and now. Like in that moment now, when you're in that situation, in that present moment in time, you're going to have to see that situation, and you're going to have to see it a different way that then is going to change the result that is going to come afterwards. And then so when you start to see it in that way, you're going to see that refining a situation is necessary sometimes when that problem happens that you didn't think was going to happen. But hopefully this video now has made you have proper expectations so that you know that the problem is going to happen, so that next time you can be more prepared, and then, you know, be more consistent if you need to be, or refine that situation and then see that situation in the way that you need to see it to have a better result and to be that person that you prefer to be instead in your life. So